Hey everyone, welcome back for episode 16 of He Said, She Said. I'm your host Sierra.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to be talking about vaccines, part 2.
Yeah, if you remember, I think it was episode 3, we did a vaccines episode, but today we're going to kind of elaborate a little bit more on what we had done previously.
Yeah, and we weren't doing outlines back then, so we were just kind of on the fly winging it. And I wasn't prepared, and I mean, a lot of people liked the episode, I think, but I just feel like I had so much more information, and Eric cut me off time-wise, so I think that's something that we're also going to be working on, is like, we try and keep it under like 50 minutes.
Gosh, it was 30 minutes when we started.
Yeah, I know, and you cut me off, but I think now we're both realizing that we're going to have to talk a little bit more to like get our point across and stuff.
Yeah.
But before we get started, I wanted to mention some of the products that I enjoy using on Earthly. I use them. I make Eric use them. Our toddler uses them. They are the natural products that are a great alternative to other medication.
So the Earthly products are pretty neat because what they are is a natural, remedy to all these medications that have toxins and other harmful drugs in them.
Yep. So if you want to check out our link, you can find it in our bio. It has a list of the products, and it takes you directly to the Earthly site and browse through there. But yeah, I recommend pretty much all of them.
To start, I just want to talk about the definition of vaccine for everybody who has any question on it, right? Vaccine is a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases. These are prepared from causative agent of disease, its products, or a synthetic substitute. They're treated to act as an antigen without inducing the actual disease. I want to mention too that although I am for vaccines for the most part,
eye roll. Literally just eye rolled.
Yeah. Gathering information and kind of some research for this episode has been extremely difficult because COVID is just so overtalked. If you go to Google and type in the word vaccine, the first couple pages are just all COVID related.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help that monkeypox was declared a national emergency or whatever recently.
What a joke.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, haven't you noticed, like, ever since 2020 when COVID started, everything's been about COVID, and all these, like everything's been about a virus, and now it's a monkeypox virus? Are you joking?
Yeah, and I mean, this came to light back in, was it April? Maybe May at the latest?
I don't remember when monkeypox became a thing, so we were in Indiana for 3 weeks, and I was just telling Eric this past week that, because we've been back for a week now.
Yeah.
And it was like, we got to live in our own little bubble. And because I never once turned on the news. We had Disney Junior on in the background, and my brother never turned on the news.
Yeah.
And we would listen to the local radio station, but they don't talk about that stuff. And it was just so nice to live in our own little bubble, that there was no virus, there was nothing going on. It was just a nice relaxing 3 weeks. And honestly, I didn't really get on my Facebook and read the news either. So it was just a nice break. And now I feel like we're back in Houston, and no wonder I've been depressed this week.
Flooded with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but today we're going to kind of get into, Sierra is going to be getting into a lot of information as to why vaccines are kind of just hype and nothing more.
Yeah, and so when we were going over the outline for this, I get so heated when I sit here and I'm telling him this information and he just thinks it's BS, and it makes me so angry. And I'm these are coming from literal doctors and scientists, and you still don't believe it, and you call yourself a science guy?
It's science for science at that point. I mean, there's scholarly articles that say vaccines are good, and then there's scholarly articles that are saying vaccines are bad. So yeah, it's science for science at this point.
It's brainwash.
Maybe it is so, and you can mention that here shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of this information that has been found is actually from a book. It's called The Fallacy of Vaccination by Dr. Trung Yin and Dr. John Pitcairn. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But one of the quotes is from Dr. Gerard Butchwald, and he says, "Vaccination is a business based on fear."
Yep.
So why don't you elaborate on that? Give us your thoughts.
I mean, I definitely agree that he's right, because I think even in the previous episode I mentioned that it's like the perfect timeline that they have. Especially like...
Yeah, you were talking about this, actually.
Yeah, like with COVID. And okay, so when there's a virus, your body is going to fight it off. So you have, unless you have the weaker immune system, then your body's going to build up its own antibodies, and you're going to fight off the virus. So I read an article that said like 99% of Americans have had COVID, and we just probably don't know it. And it's because we've built up our antibodies to that virus, and now we're ready. Our immune system is ready. And it takes the population around 2 years to do that when it's a new virus. And ding, 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 that's when they come out with all these vaccines. And they're like, oh, look, the vaccine worked. And it's been like that through history. Polio, smallpox, all like, so starting like, I think the 60s, it's been like that. That's been the trend. The vaccines roll out 2 years after the virus, but then miraculously, the virus is like kind of eradicating. And it's because you have your immune system built up and your body's fighting it itself. Same thing like with pregnant moms and stuff. I read something that said your antibodies pass through the placenta, which then your baby has those antibodies, which
right.
Yes, their immune system is lower and they have to build up their own immune system, but it's enabling them to fight off the most current. It's what it made it sound like. So, and that's how, because you asked that question, you're like, well, how does it go on from generation to generation if it's not vaccines? Well, it's because the mom is passing it through, and, say we're a carrier of that virus, your child's going to build up that immunity regardless, because you carry it in your body, and their body has to say, oh, I need to fight that off.
Right. So, I mean, kind of just getting to the gist of it, like, vaccines should then only be used for people with weak immune systems?
See, that's like a tricky question, because I think they're horrible for you no matter who you are. But yeah, I really just want to leave it at that, because I think they're bad for you no matter what. But
fair enough.
And it sucks. And people wanted to say to me all the time, because I didn't want the COVID vaccine, and everyone was like, oh, well, it's, I don't want the COVID vaccine until it's your family. Like, no, it still was going to suck if someone in my family gets it and doesn't make it. It's just, but what if they have an adverse reaction to the COVID vaccine and they don't make it? And then people are going to bury it and say, no, it wasn't the COVID vaccine. So,
yeah.
But, so I like this. We've definitely heard this from our pediatrician. It's the 3 kind of the most common phrases.
Oh, okay,
Yep. It says, vaccines are safe and effective. Vaccines prevent diseases and save millions of lives. See, I can't even read this without laughing. And vaccines work. They're a miracle to the human race. I find that hilarious, because you cannot say vaccines are safe and effective, because they're not. Especially the COVID vaccine, it is still a trial vaccine.
Yeah, the COVID vaccine.
They passed it as an emergency vaccine, and we're quite literally the experiment right now. And they can't say vaccines are 100% safe and 100% effective, because, like I said before, you could have a protein allergy that you may not know of, and then that's what your allergic reaction is to. And they, it just is so irritating because of all of the reactions that I watched Alaric have after his vaccines. And it's just like, that is just not, it's just not right. Like, you shouldn't have a reaction to that. And you're putting so much lead in your body. It's horrible. Like, I don't know. I could just...
Yeah, and we've heard this before where, your doctor, your pediatrician, whoever it is, proclaims all these vaccines are safe and effective, but some physicians, what they state in private about vaccines will never get out to the public because
they're afraid.
Yeah, there's fear of being sued for malpractice.
Yep.
So,
or like questioned, like I get bombarded with questions, and I'm not even a physician. It's like I'm just like a mom, you know?
Right.
And yeah, I can only imagine being a physician and like not supporting vaccines and all of the backlash you're going to get from not only like the community, but from the medical world and big pharma. And because that's what they are pushing for. They just want money.
Yeah. So a good quote here from, Vladimir Lenin. He says, "A lie told often enough becomes the truth."
Yeah. I mean, so I read this really good book, The Four Agreements, and then I read The Fifth Agreement. And it's like, it goes back to the beginning of time, like literally the beginning of time. And it says, you know this to be a book because someone told you it's a book.
Right.
But why is it a book? And it's because somebody said it over and over and over enough that now everyone just knows it's a book. So at this point, everyone has been told over and over and over, vaccines are safe. You have to vaccinate your child to go to school.
Yeah.
And so now it's everyone just goes along with it. Just like the little sheep. Like, oh, this is what we're told.
It's MK Ultra. It's the mind control experiments.
Yeah. It's like, this is what we're told. I'm not going to question it at all. Your brother's funny because he said that the other day. He's like, do you believe anything? I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, we were at the dinner table, and of course politics came up, but...
That was horrible.
Yeah, it was bad, but we're going to save that.
But yeah, like, no, I don't believe anything, because when they push it so much, it just like, how do you not think for yourself, like, okay, that's a little weird. And why do you have to keep repeating the vaccines? If you have the vaccine, why do you have to get the boosters? And that's not just for flu shots. Like, that's a lot of them. I mean, we went over the schedule in our last episode. So why, if they're effective, and if they're actually, because your antibodies never leave your body. You never lose that.
Okay.
So why do you have to keep updating? If they want to say it's because there's a new strain of the virus, then that still doesn't make sense, because you already have enough antibodies and immunity in your system to realize that that's what it is. But they also give you last year's flu shot. So like whatever last year's flu strain was, that's what they put in the current flu shot. So that also makes no sense. So you're literally just being useless.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own. But vaccines are, I don't know, we'll say highly advertised.
Oh yeah, and that's another super weird thing. Like, why is it that on every channel it talks about COVID? And even on like Freeform, which plays kids movies and stuff, it used to be ABC Family. But so like, I remember, I forget what movie it was. Maybe it was Hotel Transylvania. But
yeah, because we still watch kid movies.
Yeah. So it was a commercial break, and they were talking about back to school, and I was like, oh, it's probably just a Target commercial or something.
Nope, it was a vaccine commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, are you freaking joking? Like, and that's why I say we don't let Alaric watch like normal YouTube, because all these ads pop up on kid things.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do you have to advertise it? And another thing I find a little sketchy is if it's so effective and safe and it works, why is it free? And why is it so pushed and advertised? But then, and if it worked, why do you still have to wear a mask for the longest time? And why do you have to keep getting boosted? And why, if you're vaccinated, do you have to test negative before you can go out of the country?
Yeah.
If you can show that you have vaccinated proof, why do you have to test negative? If it's so effective, it just like doesn't make sense to me. Oh, and so if it's so safe and effective, why is it free? Because you don't need it to literally live, but people need insulin to literally live, but that's not free.
Yeah, no,
that's expensive as shit. Neither is cancer treatment. Yeah, my dad's cancer treatment, ridiculous expensive.
I imagine.
So yeah, because he was in chemo and radiation for like 6 months. So that's a long ass time, and none of it was free, and he needed it to fight it off to live. Yeah. So why is that not free? And why is the COVID shot free and so pushed? Why isn't healthy food? And
I don't know. So it's free to us, but I don't think it's free, right? Because the federal government is providing funding to these vaccine manufacturers. So if you want to get into the conspiracy of it or whatever, these vaccine manufacturers have to come out with new vaccines, different vaccines, to keep receiving this funding from the government.
Also because it's a trial.
That too.
But, okay, so when Alaric got his vaccines, we never paid for any of them. And if you say it's because of insurance, that's a lie, because when we did not have insurance, they were still going to be free.
I'd have to look into that. But
yeah,
we did have insurance at that time, and everything was included.
So before vaccines, people's chances of dying from certain infectious diseases was rare.
So to me, that's hard to believe, but I do believe that, these things were a key factor, such as your clean running water, your sewer systems, indoor plumbing, toilets, your sinks, showers, pretty much all your sanitation and hygiene, right?
Yep.
And then garbage collection. You brought that up the other day. That was a really good one because, in the old days, garbage just gathered in the street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Modern building codes, that's more recent, but still, cause for effect. So paper towels, obviously electricity, and, your indoor heating, your refrigeration, all of those things are key factors.
And how you store your food and everything.
Right. But
look at Game of Thrones. I was like, we just started watching that. I'm on episode 5.
3.
Yeah. 3. First time watching it. Don't spoil it. He's seen the whole thing, but it's like, I just kept saying how dirty that is. Like, it was such a dirty time and gross. And that's why there are so many diseases.
Right. So it is curious because, obviously we can't really do a comparison now. But if those people in that time had these vaccines, would the vaccines be cause for cure? Or would they have kind of gone like nothing happened? And it's really the modern advancements that are the cause for cure.
So remember the TikTok I showed you today when the lark was asleep? It said, do you ever wonder why when you turn 30, your bones start hurting and all this stuff? And it says, because the average age of, life expectancy was 30. It's like, it's time to go. Like, that was meant to be a funny TikTok, but if that's true, the average life expectancy was around 30 to 50, then now we have all of this, like, modern medicine and, like, basically mutation of, like, natural life. And I think that's just, I don't know, it's not natural to, like, keep prolonging.
No, I think it's natural because, again, this goes into those key factors we just talked about. Your nutrition, your electricity, your heating.
But, like, medicine and stuff.
Even if we didn't have medicine, I feel like those factors would still prolong life, right?
Yeah, because, like, look at me. I'm thriving. My skin looks so good.
Yes. But back then, right, the life expectancy was, say 30 years. But now the life expectancy is 78, 80 now.
Yeah. I think for a woman it's 83.
Sure.
And then for a man it's 79.
Okay.
I learned
that means I'm going way earlier than you.
No.
You're going to have like 5 years without me.
No chance. Heck, who knows? That might be a good 5 years. Just kidding. Just kidding. God forbid I make a terrible joke about my husband. A joke.
Okay. So, let's see here. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about a few diseases that may have been eradicated by nutrition. I say may have, Sierra will say was.
I'm shaking my head.
So scurvy, right? For everybody that doesn't know what scurvy is, it's the lack of vitamin C. Obviously, if you don't know, I believe it was sailors, when they were crossing the Atlantic and whatnot, a lot of them died of scurvy because they didn't have fruits on board. And now we know we can cure scurvy with nutrition, such as our fruits and other...
What else can you get vitamin C from other than, like, a supplement?
Oranges are super high in vitamin C. A lot of your citrus fruits.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that's what it is. Like, they didn't have fruits on board. They had, dried meats and stuff and bread. That's the stuff that was going to last,
You must definitely lack vitamin C.
Me?
Yeah. I feel like I never see you eat fruit. Other than, like, watermelon.
I don't know if that has vitamin C in it.
It doesn't, but I'm, like, just talking about fruit.
I'm thinking of, how do I get my vitamin C? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, rickets. That's another one. That's your lack of vitamin D.
That's like, how would you get that naturally?
So naturally, if I'm right, gosh, don't quote me here, but I believe you get vitamin D from sunlight.
You do. See, I already know these, but I'm just asking you because you need to talk more than I do.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, but now you do. You get your vitamin D from sunlight, but there are also milk has vitamin D additives in it, and I believe some breads also have vitamin D.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I think.
Huh.
Berry is another one. That's your vitamin B1 deficiency and anemia. And those who don't know, that's your lack of iron.
Yep.
So these are all diseases that are easily, cured now because we have the knowledge that we can fix these with just nutrition alone.
Yeah.
And you're studying natural health.
Yep.
I imagine a lot of your coursework teaches you that you can fix a lot of, issues with nutrition.
Oh my gosh, it's a huge focus. Nutrition, and that's what I was telling you last night too, is nutrition and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And
I told her last night that the less sleep, the better for me.
That makes
the less sleep I have, the more productive I have, because that's the more hours in the day I have.
Gosh, no. And so yeah, we were talking about sleep, and then also your sunlight. So
God, put it away.
I have a conspiracy about sunblock and everything that we can talk about later, but because your sunlight, so your nutrition, sleep, and sunlight have so much to do with your health and just overall like rest.
Yeah. Okay, so you like to talk about, diseases not needing vaccines to be cured, right?
Uh-huh.
Why don't you mention a couple of those that were supposedly cured without a vaccine?
Okay. So, scarlet fever, rheumatic fever, typhus, and tuberculosis.
So the only one on that list that I know is tuberculosis.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you probably never paid attention, but when you go to a medical office, it seriously asks if you've had any of these.
Really?
In your medical history. I always remember scarlet fever and rheumatic fever and typhus and tuberculosis being on all of the medical screenings.
I may have heard typhus before, but I don't know what it is. The only one I know is tuberculosis, and it's like an infection of your lungs, right?
Yeah, and do you remember, is that the TB test?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get tested for it.
I've been tested for it, and they almost thought I had it, but yeah.
Jeez.
So if vaccines didn't eradicate these, then what did?
Okay, so back to the natural buildup of, your immune system.
Uh-huh.
So essentially, everyone gets the disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's killed off, kills off the weaker immune system people, and that's terrible, obviously, but,
I mean, if that's how it goes, then...
Yeah, what was that phrase? Natural selection?
Yeah, natural selection is in there.
But so everyone else builds up the immunity to the disease, and it passes down through generations.
Okay, so then again, this is one of those cases where I'm curious as to if those people with weaker immune systems were vaccinated, if they would survive. And
I mean, it's a possibility, but what if they had a reaction to the vaccine? That's my problem too.
Yeah.
You can, just like Alaric, when he had COVID, yes, it was freaking horrible for the 3 days.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it came on, fast, it went away just as fast.
Yeah.
And honestly, we had the worst treatment at the hospital because they didn't know it was COVID. Yeah. It was just a nightmare. But so they literally did nothing. They rotated Tylenol for him every 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even give him an IV. Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's if you can get past the diseases or the virus, I feel like you have a better chance fighting it off yourself than if you have the vaccine and you have a reaction, and your body reacts negatively to it. You can't get the vaccine out of your system anymore.
No, you can't. But I mean,
you can't reverse it once it's in.
I think we both know people who have passed away from COVID.
Who? Okay. I don't know anybody.
I do. I personally know people that have passed
from
away
COVID. It wasn't a complication of COVID. They had no underlining issues.
My guess is that these people did have underlying issues. But
so that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a weaker immune system. They have underlying health problems, which is why you need to get your health in line. And just living a healthy lifestyle has so many benefits that you're gonna fight off diseases. You're gonna be a happier person. There's just so many. Sounds
like I need to get healthy. No.
I mean, I've been trying, but you don't want to take my suggestions. Just like I have this problem where people like tell me what's going on with them, and no, I am not certified yet, but it's like I know all this stuff. Like I'm almost there. I've got 2 months left, 3 months. It's like I'm almost there, and I have to realize that not everyone wants my help.
Yeah, I know. We were talking about this. You were like walking around, and so was mentioning something. And you're like, oh well, you can take this.
Yeah, I was like, what about this? And they were like, no, I'm just gonna continue to take this prescription drug. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, stop it, Sierra. They didn't ask. They did not ask for your opinion. So I need to stop that. But
yeah. Okay, so you got that out of the way. Now, how about diseases that vaccines took credit for eradicating? And one of these, I mean, we talked about in our podcast on episode 3 when we did the vaccines initially. I know that was polio. Again, this is still up in the air for me because I personally believe that the vaccine was the cause for the eradication.
Right, but if you look at the timeline, it was still around that 2-year timeline when polio had been around for around 2 years. They come out with the vaccine, they start mandating the vaccine, and then polio is eradicated. But by that point, I'm sure a majority of people were exposed to it. And honestly, and that's the other crazy thing, if you look at statistics, not everything has the extreme severe side effects of that virus. So you're not always going to have the horrible side effects that, it could potentially have. Honestly, it's probably like a 1 out of 5. And
probably not even that bad.
Yeah. But they make it sound so scary so that everyone rushes to get the vaccine. Yeah,
and I'm curious too as to like the sample size that the CDC uses or the WHO, whoever, puts out that information saying that you're this likely to get the disease or this likely to have severe symptoms and so on.
But so it's like when I was pregnant in 2020 and in 2021. Alaric was born in 2021.
Yeah.
I was pregnant.
Yeah, we found out in October, November, early November.
So, yes, COVID had been around for, a handful of months. But it's like, they told me, oh, if you're pregnant, you're more susceptible, which is, I guess, true because your immune system is lower when you're pregnant.
Right.
But
that just goes
people
for
can call me, people can call me a bad mom. I was like, whatever. Like, I straight up walked around everywhere that I could with no mask.
Oh, yeah.
I was not scared of anything. I did my normal stuff. Everything that I could do without a mask, I freaking did. And I would only put a mask on if I was literally not allowed to go, in somewhere.
Yeah.
And even when I moved back to Texas, no mask, don't care, and walking around like normal. Yeah. Same thing when Alaric was born. I remember this mom on a mom group on Facebook. She was like, when did you guys start taking your baby out? My baby is 1. We were wondering when we could take him out. And
Alaric
I said,
was 4 weeks.
Yeah. No, I said, we took my 3-week-old preemie to Snappies for breakfast.
Yeah.
I was like, so there's that. But
yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and mention a couple of these other diseases that the vaccine supposedly took credit for.
So angry. So, smallpox, diphtheria, whooping cough, polio, and measles. So, as the data shows, the diseases were never eradicated by vaccines. So, when I say as the data shows...
Yeah, so go on.
Yeah. There's a graph in this book that we're getting all of our information from is this book today. So, you want to look it up? It's on Google Books. Very easy. Or you can DM me and I will gladly share it with you.
Yeah, get ready to talk for a while though.
Yeah, gladly share it with you. And don't get nervous or whatever. I'm not going to make you feel bad. At the end of the day, you're going to make the decision that you think is best.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. But, so yeah, when I say the data shows, it's from a graph from this book that unfortunately y'all can't see right now.
Yeah, but again, so I don't necessarily believe this. I'm one of the millions of people that believe that smallpox was eradicated thanks to vaccines. And, believe it or not, there have actually only been 2 diseases that were eradicated per the WHO. And those are smallpox by the variola virus in humans and rinderpest by the rinderpest virus in cattle and buffalo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Well,
speaking of animals, I know this has nothing to do with like what you just said, but it's like, since I hate to say the word anti-vax, but like kind of am, but it's like River, our dog,
oh gosh,
is past due for his vaccines, and honestly at this point I'm like, why? Like, truly. So our dog, the family dog growing up, her name was Taylor. We don't know what she was. She was so pretty, though. She was probably like a golden retriever with like a Brittany Spaniel. She was so pretty, but we never she was a freaking country dog. Like, she lived outside.
I was going to say, I feel like a lot of like farm dogs and, country dogs per se.
Yeah.
They're not, given all those vaccines or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, trust me, like, she was very well taken care of.
Yeah.
We groomed her. We would give her baths. She was an outside dog, but like, if it was extremely, or not, I wouldn't even say extremely, because really, she came in the garage a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My dad wouldn't let her in the house, which is hilarious because now he has 2 chihuahuas in the house, but he wouldn't let her in the house, but she was in the garage. And it was in Indiana, so like the garage is pretty temperature controlled. Like, it's comfortable, to sit in or whatever. But we never got her vaccinated. We never did anything with her, and she was freaking ancient when she passed.
Yeah.
And just like Gunner, I'm not sure if he went like regularly. I want to say no. He probably did not until like the last few years of his life. But
yeah, no, your brother's dog. I mean, he was
a farm
old,
dog,
and yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, I don't really. And River, he wasn't guaranteed he wasn't vaccinated before we got him. We rescued him. He was 3 years old.
Yep.
He lived outside his whole life on a chain. He was severely malnourished.
Mm-hmm.
What was he, 30 pounds when we got him?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe like 28, 29 pounds. And
he's 55 now.
No, he's 65 now. He's a big boy. He's definitely.
Okay, now he's overnourished.
Yes, he is. He's totally overweight, but living his best life.
Well
sure.
loved. Remember,
yeah,
not overweight, well loved.
Yes, but so, and he's like they said he was a hound mix.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they said a healthy weight for him is around 45, 50 pounds. But yeah, he's definitely overweight. But he was never vaccinated his whole life until we got him. So it's like, when you say, oh, he's overdue for his vaccines, well, I mean...
Yeah, no,
the only thing that would prevent us from, like, doing stuff we needed to is, like, Board of Health. Honestly, it's stupid. Again, it's like public school. You can't send your dog to...
Kennels or...
Yeah, unless they're vaccinated.
Yep. Yeah, no, but... Like, as far as dogs go, I think the only one that I'd really be worried about is, like, the flea tick and heartworm.
Yeah, I agree, but, again, he didn't have that for 3 years, and he lived outside.
Yeah.
In Virginia.
And, okay, so, getting back to the 2 diseases that have been eradicated, right? So, I said smallpox, which is by the variola virus. Well, did you know that monkeypox is also a variation of the variola virus?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And so is chickenpox.
Yeah.
And so is cowpox.
So then why aren't all of these...
Because it's a different strain.
But now we're getting into the fact where you were saying there's no need for a new vaccine.
There's not.
A new strain.
There's not a need. Just because a new part of the virus comes out, just because monkeypox, freaking chickenpox, cowpox, smallpox, whatever pox you have, just because it's a new version of it, doesn't mean that you should run and get the next vaccine. If you already have the antibodies for whatever freaking pox, your body should have enough immunity built up.
What if it doesn't? What if your body hasn't been exposed? Your parents...
Natural selection, baby. I don't know.
That's what you're going to leave it up to?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not getting that vaccine.
I mean... We'll see if they come out.
I guarantee they will.
You think
and
so?
What did I say in 2020 when they said, "Oh, it's just 2 weeks to stop the spread"? I said, "No, it's not. They're gonna control this so deeply."
Yeah.
And then, "Oh, masks aren't mandated." I said, "Not yet. They freaking will be." Guess what? They were. And then it was like, "Oh, the vaccines will never be mandated." I said, "Yes, they will." And look at it now.
Yeah.
But so I know you probably want to wrap it up. It's funny because I can tell when we need to wrap it up because I start getting really hot in here and Eric's face starts getting shiny because it's hot as heck in this room.
Yeah, we haven't haven't figured out the best solution for airflow in
get
here.
this. So literally the only room, because all the other closets have air vents. This one does not.
Right, they do.
Literally, and Alaric's closet is a freaking icebox.
Yeah.
Our closet, chilly. This closet doesn't have an air vent.
No, I don't think it does.
Okay, but so this one, I want to talk about the infant vaccinations. It's known that infants and children succumb to more infectious diseases than any other group, and the reason is because newborns only fully develop their immune system between ages 3 and 5. The antibodies of infants required to ward off diseases are passed to them from the mother through the placenta.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of antibodies the infant receives from the mother depends on the health of the mother through the pregnancy and her own immune system.
Right.
At roughly 6 months old, the infant is capable of producing its own antibodies, but the child's immune system is not fully developed between 3 and 5. So, the theory of vaccinations is to trigger and train the immune system. However, the infant lacks a fully developed immune system until 3 to 5. Then the vaccine is useless. Yet babies are vaccinated literally immediately after birth.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to get Alaric circumcised, we had to give him the vitamin K shot. So,
yeah.
And they gave him a couple other shots while we were there. I honestly don't remember because it was just so chaotic. But what's the point of that? And as of 2018, the U.S. has the highest infant vaccination rate, and it also happens to have the highest infant mortality rate.
Yeah, so I actually did a little bit of digging into that, though, and I looked up Europe's infant vaccination rate, and they were still above 90%. They were at 95%. So,
but are they giving as many? Are they
I don't know.
Saying you need to give your baby 10 different vaccines before they're freaking 6 months old?
Well, even if they're not saying 10, say they're saying 3 vaccines, they're still saying 95% of individuals are getting those. So,
but what I just read, how does that make sense to you? The vaccine is useless. If it's going to trigger their immune system, but their immune system doesn't even start until 3 to 5, what's the point?
I don't know. I would have to do a little bit more digging into that.
Okay, well, that's great. You can do more digging. Please do. I'm tired of throwing all this information at you and you just brushing it off because it gets me so angry. But the amount of vaccinations that the child gets is so much, and then the SIDS rate is 2 to 6 months generally.
Yeah.
And then obviously goes down a lot more after a year. And they want to say they found the reason for SIDS. If that's true, that's wonderful. I hope that's the case. But I still think and I honestly wonder if they're saying that because so many people are coming out and realizing that the amount of vaccines that you get is so much between 2 and 6 months. And that's when the highest SID rates. So I wonder if they're finally oh, hey, guess what? We found out the cure for SIDS.
Yeah.
And then also find it weird that because we mentioned that Alaric has autism. So me being me, I'm diving in deep into...
You weren't going to mention this.
What?
I said you weren't going to mention this.
I'm just saying. So I'm diving deep in, and I'm looking at how to help him, things that can, trigger some things. And it's it says to cut out gluten, dairy, all that stuff. And then I was just minding my own business, not even on an autism hunt or vaccine hunt. I was just on TikTok, and it was this study that was shown that the beech nut baby food and the Parents' Choice formula, which is what we gave Alaric both, has heavy amounts of lead in it. And some doctors and everyone are saying that autism could be linked to heavy metals. And I've read that a lot actually too with my holistic practice and stuff. It says detox heavy metals, you'll see miraculous improvements. And I just find it funny that they want to blame it on formula and the baby food, which, don't get me wrong, I know is bad, but how can they say that when they have the same toxic metals in the vaccines? But it's not from vaccines. If you go to the website, the CDC website, it clearly says in bold, vaccines do not cause autism.
Yeah. So, okay, we're talking about the vaccines, and you're talking about all this. Another great thing to bring up here. So Earthly has this product called Vaccine Detox.
Oh, yeah. And guess what? We have it.
We do have it. So I'm curious, have you used it? Has Alaric had any yet? What are your thoughts behind that?
So when I got it, it recommends that you start using it 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them do recommend that, honestly. But
yeah,
I think, Alaric's, a lot of it, I would say, goes by weight.
Alaric is about
He's
the
about
weight
a
of
2-year-old. Yeah. So I have started giving him other things that recommend like 1 year starting at, but I have not given him the vaccine detox. I'm not really sure. I want to try it first and see how it makes me feel, because I don't know how a lot of things that I've been taught in school, like with a detox, it's really hard on you. It's really hard on your body. And honestly, it kind of does weaken your immune system a little bit. So it says, like, in order to kind of bring yourself back up, if you're doing a detox, they recommend doing like Epsom salt baths, different aromatherapies. So it's like, I don't want to start it until I know what else I need to do to like help him through the process. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, fair enough.
Yeah. But we do have it. I am going to start it. But like I said, I want to try it on myself first and see how I feel with it and kind of know like what to expect potentially with him.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably going to be more rough on me because I'm older. I have much more vaccines in my system, unfortunately. So if I don't feel terrible during the detox, I definitely am going to give it to Alaric.
Yeah, so, just real quick, some of the benefits of that detox from Earthly: supports liver and elimination pathways, supports the immune system, and it helps bind and help remove heavy metals.
Yep.
And again, Earthly's nice. They use all natural ingredients. Some of the natural ingredients in the vaccine detox are Oregon grapefruit, yellow dock root, marshmallow root, dandelion root. If you don't know, I've heard dandelion is like, the
amazing.
bee's knees. Yeah.
Yep. It is the absolute best, one of the best things.
Yeah.
We talk about it, I swear, every week.
This could go into another conspiracy too, because, weed killer Roundup. Yeah, exactly. They say it's so bad. Yeah. But so again, organic ingredients, it's really good. And just everything from Earthly is natural and organic, and it's a good replacement for those medications with drugs and other toxins.
Yep. I mean, we give Alaric a couple, like a good handful of different ones a day.
Yeah.
And then I have mine that I like to take. And so, yeah, I love Earthly. All things Earthly.
Yeah.
Even just down to their mosquito repellent. I use that. It's the stick. That little stick downstairs. Yep. They've got a nice natural deodorant. They've got a lot of good stuff on there. So
yeah, and keep listening. We'll talk about a product every episode here and there.
Yeah.
So vaccines. We know this can be a touchy topic. I think it's really important though, just to understand and respect people's decisions.
Yep.
Okay. Whether you agree with them or not, just don't be rude.
Yeah.
Just be polite about it. If you don't have anything nice to say, keep it to yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Me and Sierra, we obviously have two completely different perspectives, but, we make it work. I don't dog her and call her an anti-vaxxer and talk trash about her, and she doesn't call me an idiot for thinking vaccines are okay. But, again, it just...
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did it. We met halfway. We did a few for Alaric. I was a nervous wreck every time.
Yeah.
And then we stopped, and we did see a very good improvement on his eczema. It's gone.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty much gone.
It's gone.
Yep.
And, he's doing really well, other than having COVID, and also ironic that he had RSV the 2 times that he was getting the vaccines. But now that we haven't, he's had COVID, and that was horrible, but he's much better. Honestly, he's, never sick.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about, too. My one good friend, she hasn't vaccinated her daughter ever, and she's never been sick. And she's almost 2. And they go everywhere.
Yep.
They go everywhere. Amusement parks, the park, pools, community pools. They go to church every Sunday. All these people hold her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's never been sick. So...
Yeah,
but probiotics.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You get your probiotics in, get your healthy nutrition, organic food, your water intake, all of your natural supplements. You are golden. Get the proper amount of sunlight per day. You only need 15 minutes. 15 minutes of sunlight a day.
You're not a CNHP yet. Okay.
I know. I'm almost there.
Yeah, well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Not to trash talk the vaccines.
Yeah, I mean, I love anybody that, I've got pretty much, I'm the only one in my family that, is like this, and whatever, if they want to, that's their choice. I've got close friends, that is their choice, and I know that at the end of the day, every parent, every mom, every person is going to do what they truly think is best, and that's perfect. If that works for them, that works for them. So.
Yep. But yeah, make sure you go follow us on Instagram at ACS Entertainment LLC. You can click the link in our bio there to listen to new episodes and subscribe to our YouTube. Also, again, if you're interested in any of those earthly products that we use ourselves, you can find those there as well. Thanks again for listening, and make sure you tune in next week for another new episode of He Said, She Said.